Hey, you crazy kitty cats. Here we're going to be looking at 3 creepypastas narrated by ClancyPasta. He's a YouTuber with 30,000 subscribers, and he has a really great voice and uploads pretty regularly. The creepypastas we're going to be looking at today will be SuicideMouse.avi, My Son Was a Guest Star on Buddy Wellington's Playtime Jamboree, and Why the Mormon Church Scares Me. First we're going to get into SuicideMouse.avi. This is a Disney pasta. I have an inherent fondness for Disney pastas, primarily because they're about a place that is just supposed to be so pleasant and overjoyed. Uh, and secondarily, they're very well written. I'm not sure if one guy is the guy who writes about Disney pastas, or if, as a whole, the Disney pasta writers are just very good, but it is very good. This is also a lost film kind of creepypasta. It's the missing episode kind of thing, which it actually went really well with the whole Disney creepypasta. Seeing as Disney's past is quite expansive, and there's a lot of time and potential for something kooky to have been in their past. I really like it with Disney, especially because there is, in my mind, at least a possibility that something like this could happen. Clancy Pasta was very good for this one. I think he does really well with all lost episode kind of creepypastas. I would say this creepypasta was pretty intelligent. It had a lot of good adjective usage, and like I said before, this rings true for most Disney pastas. The backstory amount for SuicideMouse.avi was non-existent. Not because the story was poorly written, but because the backstory kind of writes itself, at least for me, in the fact that the past of this creepypasta could also be the past of Disney World holistically. The creepy factor for this is adequate, and I think it would be very possible for somebody to have tampered with a tape like this, as stated in the story. It's not some over-the-top, untasteful kind of Sonic EXE stuff, but it holds of a good value while not going too far off the deep end. In conclusion, I really like this creepypasta. As I said, Clancy Pasta paired very well with this, as I think he does with all Lost episode kind of creepypastas. Second creepypasta we'll be looking at is My Son Was a Guest Star on Buddy Wellington's Playtime Jamboree. Now this is a small town show creepypasta. The whole small town show creepypasta genre really is an interesting one for me because I feel that it hits more to the generation that was directly before me. Seeing as at that time there were a multitude of public access shows and channels, and your Uncle Jim could have had a public access show about fishing if he wanted to. And with that said, love the concept of them. Granted, I do have a soft spot for these kind of small town channel creepypastas because of the creepypasta 1999. It was a great creepypasta small town show. You can go check that out on Creeps McPasta's channel. He narrated it excellently. Anyways, I really do think that it was a pretty good example of how good this genre can be. And especially because a kidnapping is such a colossal everyday thing, they're on the news so incessantly, it adds a little extra punch to it overall. The narrator was very good. I'm gonna be honest. I watched this directly after SuicideMouse.avi, and I thought that Clancy Pasta would not be able to do a good job in a dad kind of role. No joke, I looked down halfway through the video just to make sure it was still Clancy Pasta narrating it. He changed the tone and the pitch in his voice perfectly for this creepypasta, and really gave it the emotion that it needed and deserved. As far as how well it was written, I think the overall feel for it was very natural. No extraordinary adjective use, primarily for the fact that it's from the point of a distressed father, so it makes sense that it wouldn't, sound like a work by Voltaire. It did sound very simple. The backstory amount was adequate. I think it set the scene for what was to come, and you could maybe even get a little bit of attached and worried about what was going to happen to the characters. The creepy factor for this was based solely off the fact that something like this, again, one generation ago, was somewhat plausible, and kidnapping being so incessantly happening, it's certainly just scary in itself. As I said before, Clancy Pasta very, very pleasantly surprised me with this one, and I do believe that he paired well with this creepypasta overall. The third creepypasta we're going to be looking at is Why the Mormon Church Scares Me. Now this is a religion creepypasta. The whole religion pasta genre generally reminds me, personally, of the Church of Scientology and the various shenanigans they pull and have pulled in the past. And if you really don't understand the whole religion pasta genre, or don't like it or don't get it, I encourage you to look up all the mischievousness Scientology pulls and other religions like Scientology have pulled, and maybe watch some of the interviews with some of the followers of these religions, and it will really give you a scope of how dedicated some people can be to a religion. To the point of insanity sometimes. So in my mind, I think that the piece itself was very good, and this genre hits me hard. How good was the narrator for this creepypasta? I feel this is a pretty simple, quick creepypasta you don't really have to strap into, so the narrator is not necessarily as important. But I do feel that to make full use of this creepypasta, you would need somebody with a more growly voice. I feel that way personally about most religion pastas. I think, for example, King Spook does a great job with these kind of things. Again, ClancyPasta is not bad whatsoever, but just to make full use of this kind of story, I think you need more of a scratchy kind of rough voice, at least in my opinion. I don't think that this creepypasta was super intelligent sounding. There was a bit of adjective usage, but nothing extraordinary. As I said with Suicide Mouse, I like the fact that on some creepypastas, the backstory is tied in with the real world, and if you come into it with like some prior knowledge and understanding, you can really add a whole extra layer of depth to the creepypasta, just based off of what you know before and what the creepypasta gives you while you're reading it. And if you have at all studied Mormonism, you know it can get a little bit spoopy sometimes, it will get scary. I think again, Clancy was very good, but not the right guy for this kind of creepypasta. But regardless, it was a very good, just quick listen. I think it was like 9 minutes long. Just a good quick listen. In conclusion, I think that all three of these pastas were all really good. I encourage you to go check out Clancy Pasta's YouTube channel. He's a great narrator and does a lot of the really shorter and crazier stories. And if you do end up seeing this Clancy Pasta, I do love your content. Keep up the good work. If you guys like this video, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. Also comment down below if you do like this kind of narration. And if you want me to narrate anything in the future, just tweet me on Twitter and I will record it and send it to you. I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.